What's going on, everyone? It's your boy Ethan. Hope you're having a great day. Welcome back to another video on the channel, and today we're playing some 2-5 at the new Encore in Boston. And yeah, this session came about 2 days after the grand opening, so things were still fairly hyped up, and we played a pretty late session. So I wanted to check out the 2-5 action, see how it was compared to the 1-3, since that was what I played the grand opening day during the same week. It was a fairly late session, but yeah, the video is pretty interesting. We get in some really difficult spots, and we'll see how it goes. As you can tell from the title, I'm not going to spoil anything. We start off pretty bad, but we run things up at the end and in some pretty interesting spots, so I'm sure you guys are going to enjoy that. Bounced all the way back, so I'm not going to spoil anything else, but like I said, the hands are definitely interesting, and it was one hell of a session that I can remember. Quick announcement before we get into the hands, though. If you like this shirt and other poker apparel like this, check out Pre-Flop Apparel. Check out the link in the description below. It's going to support me if you click on that link. And if you like what you see, feel free to buy stuff. Personally, I've always been wanting to find some consolidated store of just like poker apparel and poker gear and stuff like that. So I really like the designs. They're going to come out with some new stuff. So if you like what you see, I'm going to be featuring more shirts like this on my channel in the later videos, but like I said, feel free, click the link in the description. It'll help support me and the Pre-Flop as well, so definitely just wanted to throw that out there. But anyways, guys, let's get into the hands and see how things go. Buy into a fairly short 2-5 game. We're 6-handed to start, and the first situation we're dealt in, we have Queen 9 of diamonds in the small blind. The button open limps, and action onto me. I decided to raise it up to $20, short-handed, out of position. I think I can bump it up. It's big blind folds, and the button calls. So we're gonna go 3 heads up. I mean, to a flop of 9, 6, deuce, 2 clubs out there. So probably one of the more ideal flops I could ask for. So I bet $25. He decides to raise it up to 60, and with top pair, pretty good kicker on a kind of connected board to a certain degree. I think I can definitely call on this spot and evaluate a lot of turns and rivers. So I call. The turn is the 5 of hearts, at bringing in the backdoor flush draw. I am first to act out of position, so I check. He bets $100, and interesting spot. The board is kind of more connected, I guess. It brings in a lot more draws with the hearts out there, so he could be raising with something, I guess, something really weak, I guess. I'm not really sure yet, but with top pair, pretty good kicker, there are some combos I can beat, and I think I could be good here sometimes, so I don't let it go yet. I just have to call. River is the queen of clubs, so interesting card where obviously I have top 2, but the front door flush draw gets there. I check. He bets $125, and I just snap it off. He shows queen 7 offsuit. I mean 8-7 offsuit. Jesus Christ, 8-7 offsuit, and turned the straight there. So he takes it down. He definitely was bluffing, then raising me light on the flop there, but he got theirs and took me to Value Town. Next hand, we're in the small blind again with Jack 10 offsuit, and we're 7-handed at this point. Early position, raise it to $20. A middle position player calls, the cutoff calls, I call, big blind calls. So let's go multied way to the flop of Jack 10-4 rainbow, flopping top 2, which is very ideal in a pot that's pretty big and pretty connected as well. So I'm obviously first to act. No way I can donk lead this, so I check. And action ends up checking all the way around, unfortunately. I really would have loved to bet from someone, raise the size of the pot, charge some draws, but nothing happens. Turn is the 6 of diamonds, and I am first to act. I think I could bet and lead out a lot of the time with top 2 since I'm super strong, but I assume that one of these people has to bet, right? So I check, and action checks to the cutoff, who finally, thank the Lord, bets $55. Folds back to me, and or actions onto me, and there's no way I can just flat this spot. I got to take control of the pot and raise for value, so I raised to 150, folds all the way back to him, and he calls. The river is a 7, so interesting where it brings in some weird straights there, but besides that, I still have top 2 and I'm really strong. I decide to size up here and bet 275. If he's on a draw, he's folding to any sizing regardless, and I know he's a thinking player, so wanting him to think I'm bluffing at this spot. So I sized up fairly big in this spot, 275, and he ends up folding, unfortunately. Didn't get any more value from him, but I'll take it down with top 2. I like my sizing a lot in this spot. I feel like I can just take advantage of it and get calls from worse 2 pairs or stuff like that. For the 3rd hand in a row, we are in the small blind with another spot with ace-4 of diamonds. Early position player limps. The button, it folds all the way back to the button who raises to $25. I think I can 3-bet this spot a lot of the time. I usually do at 1-3, but out of position in the small blind, I'm looking to play a flop anyways, so let's just see a flop. So I call. The big blind also calls, and the limper calls as well. So we're going to go 4 ways to a flop of ace, queen, 6, 2 hearts. Not an amazing board for me. You know, I still have top pair, obviously, and there's a flush draw out there, but I have absolutely no kicker. So action checks all the way around for some reason, which is, I think, pretty good. When the action checks around, I feel pretty confident in it. In my hand, turn is the jack of clubs, bringing in a backdoor flush draw. With top pair and a lot of draws out there, and on a more connected board, I'm going to lead out $55 here. Just 1 for value, and 2, I think I hear from better. So big blind to my left calls and everyone else folds. So once he calls this bet, I think I could be still ahead a lot of the time, and we don't really have to worry about that too much because the river is the 4 of hearts, bringing in the front door flush draw. Hearts gets there, but I improved to 2 pair, and I think I could be good a lot of the time. Of course, he could be on hearts, and that's fine, but I'm still going to bet for value here with 2 pair because, once again, flushes are hard to make. I bet $100, and he thinks for a little bit and calls. I show, and I am good to go. So we scoop up that one, get some value out of it. Slim value, I think, but we still got it through. This hand, I am finally in position, not in the small blind. I'm in the button, actually, so much better than the small blind. And I have pocket queens, and we're playing 6-handed in this spot. Folds to me, and I open things up to $15. The small blind jams 133. I don't know why. It seemed like he was tilted. And big blind folds, and it's a pretty easy call for me. So we throw in the 133, and we go to a flop of ace, queen, 3, all spades. He quickly shows jack 7 of spades. So what? I don't even know. But I am still alive. Need the board to pair. Would love an ace or a 3. Turn is the king of spades. River is the 7 of diamonds. We do not improve with our set of queens, and we lose to jack 7 suited, flopping the straights and turning the nuts. So that's how we lost that hand. Nothing more to say, but that is what happened.
They're going to arrest her if she slides a chair over.
We are back in the small blind in this one. Good old small blind with jack 10 of hearts. Early position player limps. A fairly bad late position player raises to $15. The cutoff calls. I flat, and the big blind, who jammed that last hand, has only 65 in his stack and decides to push all in too. And all the people who are in the hand calls actions onto me. I think a little bit about squeezing here with all the dead money, and that the big blind's range can be so wide that honestly jack 10 of hearts isn't too bad of a squeeze, especially when there's so much dead money out there. But regardless, I thought about it but didn't really pull the trigger, so I just flat as well. So we're going to go multi-way to a pretty big pot. Flop comes queen, queen, jack, 2 clubs. I am first to act here, and with I guess a pair of jacks, I just want to deny equity and charge for clubs and overs. So I fire a bet of 175. Folds to the pre-flop raiser. The late position player said it was bad. He jams, sticks it all in there, and everyone else folds. I don't feel great when he sticks it in there. I asked how much. He actually jammed for less, which is, I guess, ideal because what's done is done and I don't have to put in any more money. He jammed for 170 total, so just $5 less. And I don't really feel great in this spot because, I don't know, he could easily have a queen and he could have a lot of equity. So turn is the ace of hearts. The river is the 8 of hearts. He shows jack 9 of spades, and somehow we chop because the big blind folds, and we chop the whole pot up. I talked about this hand to a friend of mine, and he definitely suggests that I should squeeze and 3-bet or 4-bet that that situation on the pre-flop there. Jesus, I can't talk. But also, me leading out there on the flop was also not a good play. It's a losing play for sure, especially multied way and on a flop that gives a lot of different cards, a lot of equity. Any clubs in the world, king 10, any queen obviously because we're multied way, and that's a very good possibility, and also any better jack. Just burning money at that rate, but luckily I got into a pretty good situation, and unluckily we chopped. But that was the hand. Following that hand, we find ourselves in a position with queen jack of spades in the hijack. Early position player raises to $15. Player my right calls. I decide to 3-bet here in position to 55, widening up my 3-bet range a little bit, and only the pre-flop raiser calls. So we're going to go heads up to a flop of king 4-4, 1 spade out there. He leads for $50, and he's fairly short in the 2-5 world. He has about like 400, I think, or 300 in his stack. So I'm trying to win this hand, and I think I can win this a lot of time because I do have a ton of ace-king X's and king X's in my range. And also, I'm a lot more confident that I'll win this because he led into me. So I just know that there's no way he has a king in the spot ever. And I decided to flat, planning to bluff on all turns and rivers. And we're going to go to a turn, which is the 8 of diamonds. He, as planned and as expected, he checks to me. I bet fairly small, 125. Having about 300 in the stack, it's hard to bluff him off, but I think I can with this sizing. And if he calls, then obviously there's no way that I can continue or bet or continue or anything on the river. So this is like my only opportunity to bluff and blow him off the pot. So he thinks for a little bit and folds, so I'm glad that I had a plan in mind going ahead into the flop and on the flop and actually executed it, and it worked out. So it's crazy how things work like that. We are on the button in this spot with 4-5 of hearts. Crazy, we're finding ourselves in position finally. And pre-flop wise, it's a 7-way limped pot. I think I could raise pre sometimes, but on the button in position, the best position I can ask for. I think there was a few limps to me, and it just didn't make sense for me to blow up the pot when I'm looking for a good flop. So let's go 7 ways to a flop of ace, ace, 7, 2 hearts. Pretty good board for us in position. And action actually checks all the way to me. And with only $35 in the middle, I'm going to bet on the smaller side of $15. I think it's very likely that someone could have an ace here out of the other 6 players. So I'm trying to price myself in to blow up the pot, but also get value when and if I do hit a heart. So only the big blind, who's a subscriber to the channel and watches the vlog. So shout out to you, Assad. It was nice playing you this session here, and he calls. So eliminated the field a lot. So we're gonna go heads up to a turn, which is the deuce. The deuce. I don't know why. What am I saying, dude? The deuce of hearts, 2 of hearts, whatever. You know what I'm trying to say. I have it on the screen. God damn it. But he checks. And I'm betting for value here. I think even though hearts come, it's hard to fold an ace a lot of the time here. So I bet $35. He thinks for a little bit and makes the call. So we're going to go to a river. I have a baby flush. River is the 4 of clubs. Pretty good card for us. And he checks it once again. I think he can get a lot of value from any ace because I think for most players it's hard to fold trip aces. So I bet 125, sizing up on the bigger side, trying to get him to maybe think I'm bluffing somehow, but also just get a lot of value from aces once like I said. He ends up raising me to 350. And once he raised, I mean, it's a horrible feeling that because, one, no one really ever bluffs in this spot, especially in low-stakes poker, even at 2-5. So I really don't think my 5-high flush is ever good here for some reason. I mean, he's on the big blinds, so his range is literally infinite. So he has all the ace X's and for boats and stuff. So I don't think he has a bigger flush, but he could definitely have a boat. And like I said, no one really ever raises as a bluff in this spot on the river. So I fold. He shows me ace 7 and takes it down. So very nice hand to a very nice flop for you, especially on the big blind. The very next hand following that 4-5 hand, we have king queen offsuit in the cutoff. There's one limber to me. I raise things up to $25 and action onto the small blind. Same person, Assad. He 3-bets me to $75. And action folds all the way back to me, and I'm in position. King queen off is very playable, and it's a light call to a certain degree, but I call, and we're gonna go heads up to the flop of 5-5 deuce rainbow. Pretty dry flop that absolutely does not connect with his 3-betting range ever, I think, or a lot of the time at least. And he bets really small to $50. I think about raising this spot as a bluff. I think he has a bunch of overs like I do, but regardless, I just didn't pull the trigger for some reason, but I did think about it at least. But I just flat here, given my 2 overcards, and think that I definitely have an ability to bluff him off this pot because he has a lot of ace X's. The turn is the queen of spades, so really great card for us. I didn't really feel that great about a king coming because he has all the ace kings in the world, but a queen makes it a little less likely that he would have one. So I'm feeling pretty good. He fires $100. Once again, it's an extremely small bet, and I consider raising, but I really don't want to scare him off of worse cards and over cards, ace king, stuff like that. So I just call his 100, and we're going to go heads up to a river, which is a complete brick. It's a deuce. He bets $200, and there's nothing I can do but just call it off. It's really small. It doesn't look bluffy. It looks like a bet for value, but with king queen here, pretty good kicker, second best kicker, I'm going to have to call, see what he has, and he shows ace queen offsuit. So terrible that queen got there. It's crazy how he got there, but nice hand to you. You got me twice in a row. Next hand, we have pocket 9s in the big blind. Middle position opens at $20, and it's the first time I'm ever seeing him play a hand and raising pre, so I know he's fairly tight and he's got to have good cards here. So the button calls, and I decide to call as well. Basically just going to set mine here and hope for the best. Flop is 10-4-6 rainbow. Really great flop for us. Not a board that I can get away from too much. So I check the pre-flop raiser middle position player. C-bets $35. Button folds, and I decide to call since it's such a small bet, and there's some good cards I can ask for, but yeah, it's a really good flop for 9s regardless. Turn is the jack of clubs, bringing in a backdoor flush draw. I check, and he only has 200 in the stack and immediately rips it in. I think for a while, and it's just so weird. I literally only have a bluff catcher, and there's so many value hands in his range that he could have right now, and even could just be ripping in with a draw, and I could still lose. I'm getting a horrible price for anything, and it's just an easy fold for me. So it's an annoying fold, but also an easy fold because there's no reason I'm calling $200 when he has me beat like literally 9.5 times out of 10. So I fold because I only beat like ace king or ace queen of clubs. I overhear him saying that he didn't have anything and was on a draw, but regardless, I'm fine with the fold. He's going to rip in $200 into a pot with like $100 in the middle. It's fine. This hand, once again, we found ourselves in a spot where we're in position. We have queen jack of diamonds in the cutoff. There's 2 limpers to me. I raise it up to $30, and both limpers calls. So let's go 3 ways to a flop of deuce, 3, 6, 2 diamonds out there. So flopping the queen high flush draw, got some overs, so got some stuff kicking here. Action checks to me. I c-bet this all the time with a bunch of equity, so I bet $65 on the bigger side, repping a lot of overpairs, stuff like that. And only the player to my right, who's a huge stack, calls. So he definitely covers me by a ton, and I'm looking for a good turn card to improve on. Turn is the ace of diamonds. He leads to me $65 again, and actions onto me now with completing my flush, having the second nuts, and him leading out on. I'm trying to get my stack a whole stack in. I have only about like $300-ish, give or take. So I'm trying to find a way that I can just get stacks in, and me raising here just seems really strong and just playing my cards face up. So I'm going to go with my plan to look like a big overpair, so something like kings, queens, hands like that. So I decide to just flat and see hopefully a blank river to get the whole stack in. So that's exactly what I do. The river is a 10 non-diamond, so beautiful card. We still have the second nut flush, and he leads for 175. Really great. Love seeing that, you know. And action to me, I Hollywood for a little bit, but obviously I'm going to jam a total of 280. He quickly calls, and I show over, and I'm good. He shows 9-8 of diamonds for a lower flush. So love to double up on this one after being really, really short. And we're finally chipping up and building our stack again.
How much more?
I mean, you put this.
You know how much you got?
280. So that's 150 here. 250, 275.
Some good news there, right?
280.
Very shortly after the Queen Jack hand, we have King Jack of Hearts under the gun. So we had a nice time playing in position and making money, but today we love playing out of position. I open it up to $15, and we get 2 calls in position, obviously. And the player to my right, the big blind, and the person that I doubled up from last hand raises it up to $75 and talks it up.
75.
Wait, 75.
Fucking bullshit. You take my money. Let's go again. Come on.
So you want to play for money?
For those reasons, I decide to call and defend my open, and everyone else folds. So I think that he could be 3-betting light a lot of the time. I'm in position. If I have a bad flop, I can get away from it, but if it's a good flop, we can definitely get some stacks in and hopefully get them again. So the flop comes 6, 5, 8, 2 hearts. Really good flop for us. It definitely hits my range better than the 3-betters range, and he leads out $100 with the second nut flush draw, king eye flush draw again, 2 overcards, and a board that should smash my range more than his. I'm gonna flat here, hoping to see a good turn, and if it's a brick, I can still barrel and just bluff at this. So I flat. Turn gives us immediate help, which is the 4 of hearts. Although it does complete the flush, it also makes the board so much more connected. There's 4 to a straight out there, and it's an interesting spot. So he checks, and I think for a while, I think how I can get value in this spot, and there's really no way because there's not a whole lot of 7s in his 3-betting range unless it's pocket 7s, and even then you don't feel great about it because of the hearts out there. So I check, and even if he had pocket 7s, like I said, if he had a straight, he definitely leads out. So I check. I'm giving him an opportunity to bluff at it on the river. The river's a 10, making the board even more connected. There's not a lot that I can do when he checked it to me. I'm going to fire really big. If he has it, he's going to call. If he doesn't have it, he's going to fold anyways. I fire $300, and he snap folds. So we take down another pot against him and win a big one, or a medium-sized one, and for sure we'll take it down. I didn't get an intro in for you guys, so here's an outro. I'm on the second deck, right next to the poker room. Look at that view. Like, are you serious? Like, this place is absolutely incredible. It looks dope. And yeah, place is overall sick. I'm finally getting a chance to explore, but this session was the grindiest session ever of 2-5 I've ever had. I only played for like 5-6 hours, I think, but it felt like forever. There was a point where I went all the way down to 400 in my stack, and then doubled up with the queen high flush against the 9 high flush. So that was a really big hand, and ran things up from there. So yeah, I was in the game for 1200 basically, and I cashed out for 1275. Profit, baby. That is profit at Encore, and I just can't get over this view. But yeah, 6 hours, 5 hours, made 75 bucks. I think that is pretty good. So anyways, hopefully you enjoyed. Leave a like for this view. If you made it this far, let me focus in. Leave a like for that view. This place is gorgeous, and more 2-5 coming away. I think moving forward, I'm going to play mostly 2-5 instead of the 1-3 game. It's just not as good. The 100 bigs with the 1-3 is just super capped, and there's just no reason for me to do that because that's just not how I play. But yeah, guys, I'm going to play some more 2-5, and I'm going to get used to this place. We're going to get used to it. But thanks guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out, guys.